A food trend that cannot be ignored. And the word trend kind of pulled into question because it's been happening, the movement has been happening for so long. Plant-based milks sweeping through our kitchens and grocery store aisles. First it was soy milk, and then almond milk soon stole the spotlight. Well, now the latest big thing in the non-dairy milk category is oat milk. It's a hot ticket item at places like Costco and Trader Joe's and projected to explode in popularity over the next few years. So if you're wondering which option is best for you, to the rescue. Studio 5 Health Contributor Miki Eberhardt is joining me to sort through the options, and there are options.
Yeah, I was laughing the other day just doing my grocery shopping, knowing this segment was coming, that it was like the tables have turned where you've got 3 full refrigerators
stocked
of all different kinds, right?
Huge.
And then like, oh, here's the one with the cow's milk.
Right,
so it's
the small
totally
little end cap. We're gonna get into all of the options.
Okay.
You're gonna give us your hard, fast opinion and recommendation. But first, just speak to oat milk, that being kind of the newest non-dairy on the block.
It is up and coming, and it is starting to rival the popularity of almond milk. And one of the main reasons is it is creamier, it has a better texture, so it kind of feels more like dairy. It has a higher carb content, a little more protein, but it froths like regular milk, so like the coffee places love it for lattes and things like that. It's more sustainable, it has a longer shelf life, it's better for the environment, and it tastes good.
It tastes better.
Yeah.
So a lot of reasons to see this being the new darling in the non-dairy aisle. In general, why would you say people are choosing plant milks over regular dairy?
I think the driver will still always be allergies or intolerances, that someone will go to that as an option. But now I think there's other things as well that are coming up, you know.
Well, are they better for us in terms of saturated fats?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is one thing. If somebody, you know, Heart Association says you can have 20 to 25 grams of saturated fat every day. And, you know, whole milk and things like that, that can be a fourth of that a day. And so sometimes this is a better option. If I would rather have my saturated fat go to butter or cheese or red meat, maybe my milk I could go for a plant version and not have that.
Offset that.
Correct.
That spend, if you will.
Right.
I think a lot of people still have concerns, though. We know traditional milk as our source for calcium, vitamin D. Do these other plant milks check those boxes?
This has been a cool thing to see shift, because when the plant milks originally came out, they weren't an equal to dairy, and now they are. They use a lot of them. It's important to check, and we'll probably talk about that, but a lot of them do match the calcium and vitamin D that are in dairy milk. And that's important because vitamin D is not in food sources, right? We know about getting it from the sun, but milk is usually the source for that, dairy. And so to see it being supplemented and have it be a similar amount is a really great thing.
Okay, so that is one thing you say we should look for, the calcium and the vitamin D.
Yep, that is something that we should look for
Talk to me about unsweetened versus original.
Yeah, and this is interesting. Unsweetened, yes, means 0 sugar added.
Okay.
Original is there might be a little bit, but even with original, it's very little sugar. But maybe like a quarter of a teaspoon is kind of the difference there, but it is a difference. One has a little bit of sugar, the other none.
You're saying skip coconut milk.
Yes, and so coconut milk in a can be a great alternative, a non-dairy alternative to cream or something like that in recipes. But if we're looking at something to have every day, coconut milk is one of the only plant sources that is a saturated fat. So kind of back to that, trying to avoid the saturated fats, not as good for our heart health. This one, in islander countries where they have low incidence of heart disease, they eat a totally different diet than we do in America. So there are just other choices available. If possible, pick a different plant.
If you're over 50 or if you're vegan, you say there's something specific we should look for.
Yeah, B12 is an important one because B12 is only in animal products. And so if you're vegan, you're not having any of those. Most vegans know that they're taking a supplement anyway. So that's either in a multivitamin, but now they are adding B12 to some plant milks. And interesting, over 50, this is kind of a new thing that's starting to rear its head, is that 10 to 30% of the population over 50 may have a lower stomach acid that does not break down those animal products and B12 the way they did when they were younger.
Oh, interesting.
So even a supplement there, and it is in some of these plant milks, can be helpful.
So it begs the question then, generally speaking, do I have to boost my protein in other areas.
Right. So that is usually the downside of some plant milks. There are a couple that match the same amount of protein, soy and pea protein milk.
Pea protein milk?
Yes.
Wow.
They match the same amount of protein
Hadn't heard
as
of that one.
dairy.
Okay.
But the other ones are lower. And so just making sure you're getting protein from other sources, which in a typical American diet isn't hard to do.
Anything else to avoid besides coconut milk?
The one I would say is rice milk, and
Okay.
that's because rice in general will soak up more arsenic in the soil and in the water, and just how it's grown and the way that rice milk is processed. So it's a little bit of a risk, and there's so many other plant choices out there. I would just say pick a different one.
Okay, and you point out also a big selling factor for some people is these milks are better for the planet. How so?
Yeah, this is actually, I would say other than allergies, this is becoming a driver behind people choosing it. And
Interesting.
that is because dairy in general, to produce cow's milk, it usually contributes 2.5 to 3.5 times more CO2 equivalents, which warms the planet. And so plant-based ones take less land, and other than almond and rice milk, less water. And so depending
Interesting.
on drought conditions and, you know, if someone doesn't have the space to have cows, plants are starting to be more popular.
Okay, we are shifting now to the Mighty Milk Award
Okay.
that Miki is prepared to hand out. This is sort of the bottom line. What would you say a milk needs to meet in terms of criteria to get your approval?
Okay, so no more than a teaspoon of added sugar, and all of these have significantly less than that, just as a heads up. But 1.5 grams of saturated fat or less.
Okay.
And at least 2.5 micrograms, which is 100 IUs of vitamin D, and then 300 milligrams of calcium, trying to match that with the dairy that we're getting.
As we look at the categories, soy milk, there's only a few that kind of made that
only a
benchmark.
few, yes, and that's just because of the sweetened issue. And soy often isn't fortified the same way that some of the other ones are. So
Okay.
this one is 365 organic unsweetened original, silk organic unsweetened, or silk original, all three of those.
The almond milk list is long.
Yes, there are a lot.
Good choices.
Almond Breeze is actually a great brand for almond milk because there's banana and vanilla, and there's a coconut blend, and then there's also the silk unsweetened vanilla fits in there as well.
And oat milk, that little non-dairy darling, that has a few good options
Yes,
as well.
Silk, again, a pretty good brand here, unsweetened or 0 gram sugar. And then Planet Oat has a couple options. And I love that this is starting to be a thing. You're starting to see extra creamy be an option, which is fun for people that have missed
Well, sure.
that if they haven't been able to have dairy.
Pea protein milk, there's a few on that list.
Yes.
Hemp milk, there's a few on that as well. And cashew milk, you're pointing us again to that silk unsweetened as an option. We're going to post this complete milk award list on our website if you want to compare what is in your fridge to what Miki recommends. You broke it down really well, sister. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
A lot to say about this topic that affects a lot of people and their grocery lists.